Hey guys, it's Adam Lovell from KnuckleTFUp.com. That is KnuckleTFUp.com. And we're here to talk about Bare Knuckle Boxing 44 from yesterday, August 16th, Saturday, August 16th in Denver, Colorado. Now, this was a great show. And I'm going to get to the rating at the end of the video. But top to bottom, this was one of my most favorite bare knuckle boxing shows. Now keep in mind, I've only watched about 6, 7, maybe 8 bare knuckle boxing shows, including all the way back when it was BYB. I watched the first 2 or 3 shows. You can find my discussion of those shows on KnuckleTFUp.com under Old School Beatings headline. You click on that headline at the top of the page and you can watch my discussions of older shows that I've had time to review. I've reviewed some shows just on social media, on my Facebook, on my Twitter, on my X. I'm never going to call that X. It's just, I'm not one of the Elon Musk haters. I don't love him. I don't hate him. I'm indifferent to him. But X is one of the goofiest names for a platform I've ever heard of in my life. It will forever be Twitter to me. But anyhow, if you follow me on those platforms, I only talk about bare knuckle boxing. Once in a while, I might throw up a small movie review or something like that. But generally, I only talk about the fighting game, right? The bare knuckle boxing, karate combat, glory kickboxing, and dirty boxing championship. Those are the companies that I love. I think bare knuckle boxing, bare knuckle fighting are the best out of all of those, but there are just a few glove companies I cover. But if you go to KnuckleTFUp.com, you can choose to watch whatever video you want. Same thing with my YouTube. KnuckleTFUp.com on YouTube. I would greatly appreciate you subscribing to me there, even if you're watching this on Facebook, because I post the full video on Facebook, the full video on Twitter X, the full video on YouTube, the full video on my TikTok. I am spreading this stuff all over social media in hopes that I can draw in more fans to the greatest sport in the world. Bare knuckle boxing, bare knuckle fighting. There's nothing better. I can't fathom somebody who loves sports, who loves athletics, not being into this. If you're the type of person that goes, too violent for me, well, then go your way, sweetheart, and watch the things that don't, offend your delicate sensibilities. But for manly men and badass women, there ain't no better sport than bare knuckle boxing and bare knuckle fighting. No way. So let's jump into bare knuckle boxing 44 again from Denver, Colorado. Kicked off in the prelims. There's only 2 prelim fights here. And the first one is Austin Spivey versus Matthew Matus. And let me tell you something. Spivey came out like a man possessed. He was determined to win this. I think he calls himself the Dream Killer, if I remember correctly. But he knocks Matus down early, quick. I'm talking with it less than the first minute. Matus does recover, gets back up, comes back at it. Spivey knocks his ass flat out. Just bam, he's out, he's done. 56 seconds in the first round. These are 3-minute rounds in bare knuckle boxing, and within less, actually, but within the first minute of this fight, Austin Spivey stands victorious over a fallen, a battered, and a beaten Matthew Matus. This was solid. I know it was only 56 seconds, but it was 56 seconds of greatness. Once in a while, you discover a fighter like Austin Spivey that you can tell just has it. You can tell there's something about this guy. He has charisma. He has a good look. He has a good fighting style. When this guy is in the trigon, the mighty trigon, if you will, this is someone you're going to want to pay attention to. It's just as simple as that. I mean, the guy has it. And that's just something I don't say about everyone. He's special, and I really think all of us need to keep an eye on Austin Spivey. Next up was the second prelim fight, and it's the last prelim fight of the night. So the good thing about these prelim fights is they're free on YouTube. You can go and you can watch them if you don't have any of the channels that cover bare knuckle boxing, and they're hard to get. My cable package does not offer them. Well, they offer them, but for me to sign up and get some of these cable packages that include the channels that bare knuckle boxing is on, is $30, $40 more per month on my bill. Now, I love bare knuckle boxing. Please don't misunderstand me, but I'm not paying $30, $40 for one damn channel. Okay. So what I do is I use a VPN. If you don't know what that is, Google it. I'm not going to sit here and give you a lesson on what a VPN is. I have myself NordVPN, And what you can do with a VPN is you can put down whatever country you want the VPN to tell your computer system, tell the internet that you're in. So I simply pick the UK, and I go to the UK channel, the YouTube channel that shows these fights each and every time they're on for free on YouTube if you're from the UK. So my VPN tells my internet company, hey, this guy's in the UK. I get to watch these shows for free without buying extra cable package that includes one channel that I want to watch and several that I don't. So that's where I sit with watching bare knuckle boxing. If you want to friend me on Facebook or follow me on Twitter or TikTok or YouTube and ask me more details on what a VPN is and how to do this, I'll do it there as a reward, as a thank you for following me on one of those social media channels, but I'm not going to do it on this video. But the second fight was Kat Connors versus Miranda Barber. I think it's Kat Connor, not Connors, versus Miranda Barber. Now look, I have become a fan of Kat Connor the minute she walked on stage at the weigh-ins. I liked her little gimmick, her little, I don't know what to call it, but I liked it. As a former professional wrestling fan, got too silly and ridiculous for me. Thank God I found this stuff. It's another story. But I still like gimmicks. I still, no, not, over the top ridiculous stupidity where you're trying to make us believe you really are, whatever, a Viking. Or you really come from those times and you sailed on the boats and you carry this sword and shield. Come on. Kat Connor had an excellent look at the weigh-in. She didn't wear it out for the fight, which kind of disappointed me. But there's nothing wrong with a gimmick. A decent, fun gimmick that makes you stand out and makes you memorable. There are too many fighters, and as much as I love this stuff, and you guys should know by now that I'm absolutely head over heels for bare knuckle fighting and boxing. There are too many guys who think, I do my talking in the ring. Not enough, sappy. Not enough, silly. Not enough, goofy. It ain't enough. Not to stand out. You got to make yourself stand out in a bevy of fighters. There are so many damn fighters. Bare knuckle boxing, bare knuckle fighting championship have rosters so long. They're as long as my damn arm. And trying to remember everybody's hard, even for somebody who obsesses with it like me. But I will forever remember people like Kat Connor who walk out looking only as she can look, and what that gimmick was. It was like a fierce princess warrior type of thing. It doesn't matter if I know what the name of it is. I will forever remember what it looks like. And it's awesome. And Kat, come out to every fight dressed like that. That's how you're going to stick in people's minds. Yes, good fighters stick in your mind as well, but even more so if they have a cool kind of gimmick, kind of look, kind of thing they got going on about themselves. And learn to promo. I'm sidetracked here. Ain't nothing wrong with a guy that can learn to talk. No, it's not wrestling, but the same thing works. Talk people into the building. Conor McGregor, the perfect example of that. Like him or hate him, it doesn't matter. The guy was top-notch, par excellence as someone who could grab a microphone and make people want to see him fight. My God, he sold out arenas for weigh-ins just because he was going to talk. It's a big part of this. And there were wrestlers who didn't get it, and there are fighters who don't get it. And I'm not talking about Kat or Miranda. I'm spinning off into this based on Kat's cool gimmick. She's got it in that way, and I'll always remember her. Round one was solid. Kat trying to fight from a distance, Miranda trying to come in, okay? You're going to get that, of course, anytime you have a tall fighter and a shorter fighter. And Kat was the tall one, and Miranda was the shorter one, and that was the style we saw. Both women worked hard, landed shots that looked pretty even. The first round looked pretty damn even. Both women pretty even again the second round, but if I had to choose, I'd say that Connor landed a little bit more strikes. I had to say her style of staying back and picking Miranda off as she tried to come in, as she must do because she's the shorter fighter, worked out in Kat's favor in the second round just a little bit. Miranda's extremely aggressive, and Connor's trying to fight at a distance. So the only problem Kat had is she was successfully fighting from that distance, right? Got to shift my camera a little bit here to move some. Sorry about that. The only problem that Kat has is that some of her strikes were well done, but it didn't seem like they were hitting very hard, and Miranda wasn't hardly affected by them. Now, keep in mind, scoring isn't done by how effective the shots are. How accurate, yes, but effective, no. If one fighter is landing more shots, even if they're not doing a lot of damage, that counts more than the fighter who's not landing as many shots, and that was the story of this fight. Kat Connor simply landed more shots than Miranda did. Miranda seemed more aggressive because she had to be. The shorter fighter has to be aggressive. They have to try to come into the taller fighter. And the taller fighter here, Kat, successfully most of the time. I'm not saying Miranda didn't land anything. She certainly did. Some big shots. I mean, Kat Connor's face was a little bruised and contused, if you will. So she was landing shots, and they might have even been more powerful than Kat's shots. But Kat's strategy of picking her off from a distance was the dominant strategy of the fight. Okay? You could say that Miranda was controlling the fight. She was controlling the pace, absolutely. But Kat was keeping up with the pace. So the pace was being set by one fighter, but the other fighter kept up with it. You see what I'm saying? This is the difference in this fight. This is important. Okay? I was really hoping someone finished this fight until, or at least in the 5th round, because I thought it was extremely close. All right? I hate when it comes down to the judges. Not because I must see a knockout. I must see somebody bruised and contused and hurt and in pain on the canvas. That can be fun, don't get me wrong. But I don't have to see that in a good fight. And this was a good fight, but I still don't like it coming down to the judges, because you never know. I've seen judges make decisions that are like, what the hell? But I agree with the judges here. It did come down to the judges, and they said Kat Connor won 2 rounds to Miranda Barber's 1 round in a split decision. Kat Connor is declared the winner, and I think it was right. Miranda Barber did an excellent job, always came forward, but Kat, I believe, landed more strikes, seemed more accurate, and her strategy was in control of the fight, even though Barber pressed the fight. Hopefully you can see what I'm talking about there. But big congratulations to one of my new favorites now, Kat Connor. I think she has it too. She has a great look. She's a great fighter. And wear that gimmick more often, young lady, please. All right, the next fight of the night from Bare Knuckle Boxing 44, Saturday, August 16th from Denver, Colorado, was Bubba McDaniel. What a cool name, right? Bubba McDaniel. Sounded like he walked out of the local bar and just came in here to kick somebody's ass. Took on Zion Tomlinson. I expected a long fight here. Both of these guys are sort of built, sort of jacked. I don't know. I just expected more than what this was. And Tomlinson, he wins. The Z-Man, Zion Tomlinson, wins by a solid knockout in just a couple seconds. Now, there was a lot of bad blood here, a lot of jabbing, a lot online before this fight, going back and forth with each other. Bubba McDaniel, again, cool-ass names, been around a long time, 42 years old, but still as badass as ever. Before the fight even started, he just sort of leaning in his corner like, do I have to be inconvenienced? You know what I mean? He's got a cool look. He's got some swagger to him. I think he has the it factor here, but that did nothing for him in this fight. I honestly think maybe he should have laid back on the jive talk, and I'm a big fan of jive talk. Ain't nobody bigger fan of guys that can talk and row an audience up and make them sound like a badass. I'm going to come in there. I'm going to take your teeth. I'm going to take your nose. Hell, I might even take your eyes, and I'm going to string them around my neck like I'm some kind of predator creature that does that to the people he defeats and takes out. Well, nobody said anything like that, but I have nothing against people that can come in there and just dance with their words, baby. I love that stuff. But Bubba McDaniel goes down in seconds here to the Z-Man, Zion Tomlinson. Wow. I mean, what a big win for Tomlinson. I expect him to move up quickly. Bubba, he's not done. He'll be back. He'll be kicking ass again. He'll be leaning on the jukebox, drinking his beer, smashing it on the floor at the next challenger and getting in his face, and the next time taking him out. I have no doubt about that. But the Z-Man, Zion Tomlinson, seems to be driven highly. Now, he jibed. He went back at McDaniel as he's laying on the ground. The referee and other officials had to back him off and be like, yo, no, we ain't having none of this. You aren't going to get in the face of a downed opponent. You know, that's a little bit too much, you know. Small part of me liked it. No offense, Bubba. No offense, brother. But I just love realness. Or fighters that can make it seem personal. Fighters that can make me lean in to who they are. Not just the fight, but them as a human being. And the Z-Man, Zion Tomlinson, will forever be in my mind after that performance, after that mouth, and after that sort of suave attitude that he had. I liked it. And that's no offense to the great Bubba McDaniel, because I do think he is a great fighter. Next up on Bare Knuckle Boxing 44 was George Martinez versus Brandon Desrosiers. I think that's how you say it. Desrosiers. Very solid first round. Lots of strike. Constant movement from both men. That's always something I like. I know Desiree, Desrosiers goes by Mighty Mouse, I believe. So let me call him that. I mean, that's memorable. That's another big thing you can do, fighters. Get you a nickname that sticks in somebody's head, especially if you got a name that's a little bit of a tongue twister like Desrosiers. So we're going to call him Mighty Mouse here. Only 5'3". Now I have a friend in professional wrestling named John Gresham that's about that height, and he's a great professional wrestler. Has always been one of my favorites. But boy, he for some reason, old Mighty Mouse made me think of him. They don't look alike or anything like that, but just watching the small guy come in there and compete and have a solid round with George Martinez the way that he did. I believe this was George Martinez's debut in bare knuckle boxing, and so he's up board. He had a decent amount of people in the crowd for him, including his mother, who was all riled up for this. But again, lots of strikes, lots of movement for both ends. Martinez got it knocked down near the end of the first round, right before the first round ended. And Mighty Mouse takes a knee to the 8 count and gets up. And the bell rings, pretty much saved by the bell. No one can be saved by the bell officially, but right at the end of this downed opponent, Mighty Mouse down to one knee, he got back up and the bell rang. So he lucked out for the bell, by the bell, if you will. In round 2, Mighty Mouse was swinging wildly. It's like he had a sort of a strategy to come in the first round and take his time. Don't smother his opponent. He even said that, I'm not going to come into this fight and smother my opponent. We're not going to fight in a phone booth, if you will. Well, second round, his strategy went out the window. Since he was knocked down, he knew he was losing. You lose a round if you got knocked down. It's like 10-8, right? So now you're behind, and he came out, and all strategy went out the window, and we were back to seeing Mighty Mouse fighting in that phone booth, coming in, which he's excellent at. But at the same time, George Martinez is, he is like a sniper. Just kaboom, he comes in flailing. He can avoid most, if not all of it, and crack you in the face really hard. And that's what he was doing to Mighty Mouse. He was using measured strikes that knocked Mighty Mouse down several more times. And then the last time he was knocked down, I think it was 3 times in this round, he didn't get back up. He pretty much waved it off. It was over. George Martinez wins in his debut match against an experienced Mighty Mouse, Brandon Desrosiers, and an excellent and fun fight to watch for me. In the next bout, Bare Knuckle Boxing 44. Why don't you always say that, Adam? Because you never know where someone starts the video, okay? So Bare Knuckle Boxing 44, Tommy Turner versus Michael Santos. 2 bull of the woods, I like to use that old Dusty Rhodes expression when I see 2 guys that just look to fit it. You know what I mean? You put some horns on these guys and they charge at each other like rams up in the mountains trying to knock each other out, knock each other back. That's how this started. But it was Santos who overwhelmed and overpowered Turner, knocking him out 30 seconds. 30 seconds, bitch. 30 seconds. That's taking nothing away from Tommy Turner. He's a tough son of a bitch, too. Just not as tough as Michael Santos in this night. Not as tough as Michael Santos. Still tough, still scary, still like the guy. Can't wait to see him fight more and fight again. But Santos came in here with something to prove, and he proved it in 30 damn seconds. Another contender for knockout of the night here. Excellent stuff. How much can I say about a 30-second fight? Not much, except, damn, man, Michael Santos is legit as they come. And we're going to see a lot of that in this night, honestly. Bare Knuckle Boxing 44, 6th fight was Julian Fernandez versus Kevin Greenwood. Fernandez came out strong as hell, never stopping, attacking. I mean, Fernandez was a machine. He was just, Energizer Bunny. Ain't nobody stopping this guy. Unless somehow you can take his batteries, and in fighting, that is conditioning, and he's clearly conditioned. No one can swing and go and move as much as Fernandez did without having unbelievable conditioning. Greenwood tried to come in several times. Greenwood's strategy was to get inside, right? But he was overwhelmed every time he did it. Greenwood's a hell of a fighter with a lot of experience, and I thought this would be another, 3, 4, 5 rounder. I really did. But Greenwood was overwhelmed. Fernandez, this was just his night. He was incredible, and he got the knockout quickly, just seconds into the first round. Damn, man, Greenwood, very good. Every time he's on a card, I'm like, this is going to be a good fight. This was an exciting fight. It was exciting because Julian Fernandez got the knockout seconds into the first round. Based on this performance, I think huge things are ahead for Julian Fernandez. Next fight, the seventh fight of the night, was Roberto Blas, the fighter that Bare Knuckle Boxing took away from Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Now, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship fired the guy. There's some controversial thing, some kind of fight, some kind of incident with a car. I don't know. I've read about it. I don't want to go into it because I've heard 5 versions on what happened. Apparently it wasn't enough to have the man put in jail or anything, right? So how bad could it have been? But something happened over there at BKFC with Roberto Blas. He comes in to Bare Knuckle Boxing with a 6-0 record. He was the former champion over there in BKFC. Of course, gave the title up when they got basically cut him for some kind of trouble. I don't know. That's what BKFC says. Blas has a lot to say in regard to defending himself. And like I said, he's not in jail, so it couldn't have been that bad. But I don't want to put BKFC down. I don't want in any drama. I love this stuff. I love these companies. I support these companies. I almost don't like that they don't like one another. I get it, but I don't really like it. I didn't like it in professional wrestling. Can we just all support one another in some way, shape, or form? Because it's all good for fans like me, right? If I only had one of these companies, I'd see much less fighting. And I like seeing as much as I can. That's why I watch Clan Fighting Championship as well, and Karate Combat, and Dirty Boxing, and Glory Kickboxing, because I want to see awesome fights. And for me to see as many as I can, I need a bunch of companies. Unless some unbelievable wealthy individual is going to buy and combine them all. I doubt that. I mean, how much money would that take? I don't even think old Vince McMahon has that kind of money. I want to see as much as I can, including fights like Blas versus Raul Penales. Penales was a good fighter. Lasted, I mean, nobody's gone past the first round with Roberto Blas. Isn't that crazy? 6-0, 6 knockouts in the first damn round. I think all of his fights before tonight didn't even reach the halfway point of the first round. This one did. Raul Penales not only lasted well into the first round, he got a couple solid shots, a couple almost, I don't want to say scary, because, you know, Blas wasn't bruised or contused or cut in any way. His face looked as good as ever. But I think he was a tiny bit shook by a few shots that Raul Penales landed. But it wasn't enough, of course. Roberto Blas just boom, boom, boom. His combinations are ridiculous. He busted and bloodied Penales' face up pretty good. And Penales basically could not continue after a couple punches up against the corner in the mighty Trigon. He went down. Your winner, Roberto Blas, the new star, one of the biggest stars now in Bare Knuckle Boxing. Who will stop this guy? That's the question Bare Knuckle Boxing needs to answer. They need to go on a scouting trip. They need to find the guys and line them up for Blas, because Blas likes to fight. You know, I think he's fighting again in October. I mean, that's a short wait from August. And so he's a serious kick-ass dude who wins quickly, and it's going to be fun to see who Bare Knuckle Boxing can find to give this guy a challenge. Who's going to be the first guy to take him to the second round? That's the only question they got to answer right now. You're not going to worry about who's going to beat him. Not yet. Who the hell's going to take him to round 2 or 3? Or and then after that, who can go all 5 with him? Or can the champion go 6 whole rounds with him and maintain his style? There's so many questions. It's going to lead to so much fun watching Roberto Blas and Bare Knuckle Boxing. And next on Bare Knuckle Boxing 44, the 8th fight was the co-main event of the night. Henry Williams, who was in a super welterweight fighter. Henry Williams is a super welterweight fighter. He's taking on the welterweight champion, Javon Wright. Now, this is non-title because it's a super welterweight fight, not a welterweight fight. But Javon Wright wants to jump up to super welterweight. He wants to bounce between the two, welterweight and super welterweight, so he can have 2 titles. You know, that's what he wants. And this was his first sort of shot, his first chance to prove his worth in the super welterweight division. And even though he was moving up in weight here, he was heavily favored, meaning Javon Wright, the welterweight champion, heavily favored here. Henry Williams is coming back from just shy of a year away. He said his hand wasn't broken, but it was sort of messed up and he needed a break. So he took like 360 days off, I think. It was just like a week shy of 1 year. So the champion, the welterweight champion, is heavily favored against the super welterweight, not challenger because the belt wasn't on the line. But round 1 started great. Both men charging in. Both men. It's always exciting when both guys go forward. When it's not one guy pressing the pace. It's not one guy pressing the fight. It's both of them. Both of them. When they're meeting in the middle, baby. They're coming in hard. They're coming in strong. Now, this is Wright's first super welterweight fight, like I said. They did settle a little, like it settled down. It didn't stay as charged as it started to be. But both kept swinging fairly often. And they did settle a little. Wright knocked Williams down for an 8 count. So Javon, the champion, boom, knocked Wright down for an 8 count. So it looks like things are going smooth. Things are going good for the welterweight who has jumped up to super welterweight, right? However, round 2 saw Wright dominating at first. He came out pretty strong. He was knocking the champion Javon back. But then it was Javon pressing the pace in the second round. Wright pressing the pace against the super welterweight. But then Williams got a huge right hook to the jaw. And I'm holding up my left hand. Bam! Right, it was hard. It was a combo, but only one of them landed. But he only needed one. That knocked the welterweight champion Javon Wright down and out shortly into the second round in the upset of the night, the upset of the month, possibly the upset of the year, because the super welterweight contender, Henry Williams, defeats the welterweight champion, Javon Wright, by knockout in the second round. And now we got Henry Williams saying, I will not fight again unless it's a title fight. So he wants to drop weight to take on Javon Wright, or he wants a shot at the super welterweight championship. I think give him a shot. This is the story mode in my head. You give Williams a shot at the super welterweight title. If he wins it, now we got the welterweight and the super welterweight champions in a rematch with one of those guys walking out with both titles. That clearly writes itself. That's what should be happening. But of course, it depends on Henry Williams winning the super welterweight title. He proved here he can, I believe, since he beat the welterweight champion. And having both those guys in a match again with both titles on the line, I'm simulating throwing them over my shoulders. That would be an amazing thing. This was an incredible fight and an incredible upset. A lot of people lost money on this fight. I'm almost positive of it. Now, folks, it's time for the main event. Bare Knuckle Boxing 44 out of Denver, Colorado. 9th fight of the night was for the Women's Lightweight Championship. Patty Jurez defends her lightweight championship against the super lightweight champion, Courtney Cameron. So, similar to the last fight, but different. Meaning, there is a title on the line here. These two fought before, and Courtney won it. Okay? She won the title that night. She won the super lightweight title. Patty Jurez is the lightweight champion. So now they're fighting again, and this time Courtney's trying to beat Patty again for her lightweight title, so she would have the super lightweight and the lightweight titles. So that's the situation. You understand what we're looking at here? Now, I'm going to be as respectful as I can. I respect both women. I like both women. I think both of them deserve the world for being bare knuckle fighters. It takes a certain kind of bravery, guts, and badassery to be a bare knuckle fighter, especially the women. Get their pretty faces all messed up and mangled. Okay? Ain't too many women out there want a chance at that. Just being honest. But this fight, folks, was terribly boring. Neither one of them wanted to advance. It was the opposite of most of these other fights tonight. Now, Courtney did advance most of the fight, but she treaded lightly, if you will. You know what I mean? She treaded lightly. She advanced, but not in a real threatening way. She advanced in such a way that it allowed Patty to back up and do her striking. And that worked for Patty. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to talk a lot about this fight because the first 4 rounds about put me to sleep. I'm sorry. The fourth round was the fourth and fifth rounds. No, I'm sorry, the fifth and sixth rounds. I always forget there's a 6th round in a championship fight, right? So, and because these are women, they're 2-minute rounds. The women fight 2-minute rounds, which I prefer. I prefer 2-minute rounds to 3 minutes. I wish they all fought that. I did. It makes the fights more exciting, and it makes it, you have to press. You only have 2 minutes in a round. You have to go. You ain't got time to feel each other out. You got to fight. But these two felled each other out for 4 damn rounds. Oh, there were some strikes in there, but it was dead even. Dead even. in 4 rounds. You couldn't call a winner in the first 4 rounds. If it ended after 4 rounds and it would have been anything other than a draw, I would have flipped my desk over because nobody deserved to win that. The 5th and the 6th rounds, they picked it up in the 5th. There were a couple combinations from both women that looked solid and good, but for the most part, they were reserved, but they did start to throw a little bit. And the 6th round was, if all the rounds would have been like the 6th, I would have liked this fight. The 6th round was solid, but still nothing incredible. It wasn't like, ooh, balls to the wall, going all out here. Nah. But each one's strategy worked out, meaning Patty managed to stay back and hit some solid shots from a distance, and Courtney managed to rush in, and at this point she busted badly the eye open of Patty Jerez. And do I think that should have won her the fight? No, you don't win by doing damage to an opponent's face. But it was the best shots of the night. The shots that busted her face up were the best shots of the night. I don't think there's an argument to be made there. This went all 6 rounds, ended after the 6th. It was a split decision. The first judge ruled it a draw. I think that judge was right. I don't really think anybody won this fight. I don't. The next 2 judges gave it to the winner, Patty Jerez, maintaining her title. This is why you don't let fights go to the judges. This was wrong. This was wrong. This was either a draw or, I believe, a slight victory for the challenger. I really do. Courtney Cameron. I think she did a little bit more, just a little bit. Her shots on Jerez's face were the best shots of the fight. And I'm not just because she was bleeding and looked bad. No, they were the best shots of the damn fight. But the judges didn't see it that way. They gave it to Patty Jerez. I think we have to have a third fight here, but only if these 2 are going to fight. Someone needs to encourage them to actually engage more than the last round or 2 of a 6-round fight. Because if they're going to fight again like this, I have no interest in seeing it. I would have a hard time sitting and watching them fight again if this was the style they were going to use, and if they're going to let it go to the judges, who can make what, in my opinion, was a bad decision. Not the end of the world. And then, I don't know, I would have a hard time watching that. I just would. I love and respect you ladies, but you gotta fight. I'm holding you to the same standard I hold the men. I just am. I'm not going to say, well, I'm not going to make excuses because they're women. That's wrong. They need to fight. And because of that, this great show, this great card, I loved it. But because of that pretty main event, I'm going to score it a 9 out of 10. I really believe this show would have got a 10 out of 10 if this main event would have been all action like the others. I really do. It was on its way there. And then this main event just ate up an entire ranking point. 9 out of 10 is still excellent, though. You got to watch this company. You got to support them. You got to be there for the best sport in the world. Bare knuckle boxing. I love it. I'm Adam Lavelle. KnuckleTFUp.com. Please go to my YouTube and subscribe. I have like 30 subscribers, guys. Let's get up to 100 at the very least. I'm not looking to make money. It'd be nice, but I'm not looking for that. I'm looking to get into the algorithm of YouTube so you start seeing more bare knuckle videos suggested to people. All right? Thanks again for watching. Give me your thoughts in the comments, and I'll be back again to discuss this stuff before you know it.